Head moment right there. That's exciting though. Hey, Callie. Hey, Los Angeles. Okay, perfect. So we're streaming now. All right, awesome. So, guys, today we're going to be talking about monkeypox and investing in certain stocks that are correlated with the vaccines or the administration of any type of medicine that is going on with the monkeypox pandemic. Right. So, there's a couple things I want to talk to you about this. I was reading some articles around it, so I'm really excited about some potentials here. Now, some of them have already started performing well, obviously, because at first we really didn't have concerns about it hitting U.S. shores. It's in U.S. shores. It's, I believe, in like 30 something states as well. And so I know in the state of Georgia, there are about 300 cases. Oh, no. Let me see how many cases are in Georgia. Hold on. I don't want to lie about that. How many monkey cases in Georgia? All right, let's look. Oh, yep, 330 cases of monkeypox in Georgia, 396 in Illinois. So, as you can imagine, they are trying to aggressively figure out what's a way in which we can stop this. So, there are several stocks that have started to perform very well since monkeypox have hit our shores. And I wanted to talk to you guys about that, as well as caution you around some of the things that I've experienced while investing into pharmaceutical stocks during the height of COVID. Okay. All right, cool. So here we go. The stocks that I'm going to discuss today are Bavarian Nordic, SIGA Technologies, Tonix Pharmaceuticals, and Chimerix. So forgive me if I didn't pronounce them correctly, but if you want to watch the playback, all the information I'm talking about will be in the description box of the YouTube live playback as well. So Bavarian Nordic, there's reasons why people or investors are bullish with this stock. And the reason why is because the company is already selling their monkeypox vaccine, and management previously mentioned that they already have over 2 million doses available for the US that can be delivered this year. And then on top of that, they have the capacity to administer up to 30 million doses. So with that being said, there's obvious reasons as to why investors are bullish towards this particular stock, because they have medicine that they're already administering and they can go up to 30 million doses with that. Okay. And they can do this on an annual basis. Another one is SIGA Technologies. Now with SIGA, it's interesting. They have a oral medication that will stop the spread of the infection from its infection site. And so with this is something that the US has actually been invested in since 2013, which I find really interesting, because conspiracy theory side of me, y'all. Do you remember when they had all of those truckloads of the black like bins? There were these huge black bins that they were delivering from like countryside to countryside, and so people were referring to them as FEMA coffins. And I know be careful talking on social platforms about this, but they're referring to them as FEMA coffins. Well, they've been putting those bad boys deep off in the cut for a long time, and so for them to have been stocking up on this type of oral medication since 2013, and then to have those type of things in the cut, it just makes me wonder, like, what are they trying to prepare for slick on the back end? But I'll reserve my conspiracy theories for another day. Okay, so the US has been stockpiling. It's called TPOXX, which is an oral molecule drug that blocks infections from leaving its infected cells. And they've been doing this since 2013. So some other companies that are some other pharmaceutical companies that are tied in with monkeypox will be Tonix Pharmaceuticals as well as Chimerix. So I was really interested in Bavarian and SIGA specifically because the amount that they're purchasing through SIGA is really interesting. And what you want to keep an eye out for is anything that's going to be government funded behind any type of infections, pandemics, anything that could cause mass scarcity or fear around us, and you see government funding going behind that. That's what you want to start looking at. So I remember when COVID hit in 2020, and it was INO was the ticker. I can't remember the full name. Let me look it up. INO was the ticker. In NVO Pharmaceuticals, and I invested in with them when they were about like $3 or so a share. And this is first when they were trying to start looking at vaccines for COVID, and they started having a lot of little breakthroughs, and so they got government funding. Well, their shares jumped from $3 a share to, let's see, they were $3.29 a share in January of 2020, and they jumped to $30 a share in June of 2020 because they had that government funding and they were able to issue out the vaccines, or the vaccines for COVID. And so what ended up happening, because so many other companies started issuing out vaccines, their shares started to drop off pretty drastically. So I invested in at $3. Its height was at 30. And at the time, I wasn't really sure when it was going to reach its high. And so I always hear on social media, people are like, you buy low, you sell high. That's the name of the game. Well, duh, that's the name of the game. But if you don't know when the high is the high and you're just holding on and not understanding how to properly read your fundamental read your fundamental analysis around the market, understand when the turns are going to be happening based off of the language of different companies, then you're not going to know when to get out. And so what I see and what I predict is we're going to start seeing these huge spikes in the stocks that I just named, and then they're going to start to taper off. So I just wanted to offer some caution to you all who may be looking at investing into these particular stocks. You're like, oh, monkeypox is here. These are the companies that are working on the vaccines. This is who we should be invested into. Just bear in mind that everything that spikes like that, it's going to be seasonal. It's not going to stay that high. So you need to make sure that you're keeping an eye on the market and doing your due diligence. This is why I say it's so important when you're individually invested into stocks that you're understanding the movements of the stocks, you're understanding the language around them, you're understanding not only fundamental analysis, which is looking at the news, but also technical analysis as well, which is understanding, okay, this would be a good time to exit out of this particular investment. But what I predict is going to happen is there's going to be a lot of people who have the right idea, but you don't have the right principles behind it. So the right idea is, okay, clearly monkeypox is an issue here. There's got to be companies that are working on vaccines or medicines around this. So I should be looking at investing into these companies. Right idea. Wrong principles is investing into it thinking that it's going to be a long-term investment. These type of companies get government funding behind whatever they're doing, given that they can prove they can offer an end result to whatever is happening. So once other companies start jumping aboard and there's more vaccines and more resolutions to solve the problem, or solutions to solve the problem, then what's going to happen is these companies that are currently seeing some spikes now, they're going to start to taper down. So just be very cautious in what you're investing into and why you're investing around it. If you are trying to invest into something long term to say, okay, I want to invest in stocks because I'm trying to build wealth because I want to pass X, Y, and Z down, which is most of the conversations that I have. That's all people really want to do is build their wealth to create generational wealth. That's where their focus is. But doing it this way is not a logical way if you don't understand the stock market. So while you may hear people recommend you investing into these, I would only recommend seasoned investors to invest into these type of stocks because they'll know when to exit out of them. I would hate for you to invest with it and then get into the cycle of hoping that it will continue to go up or hoping that they'll get additional government funding. Once you get into the cycle of emotional logic in the market, you've already lost, because everything dealing with the stock market is based off of taking your emotions out and going, Lord, y'all, I'm struggling today. Hold on. Have mercy. Okay. Taking your emotions out and going based off of what the market is telling you. And so those companies, again, were Bavarian Nordic, SIGA Technologies, Tonix Pharmaceuticals, and Chimerix. For example, when INO was at its height, and this is one of the stocks that I personally invested into during COVID. So when it was at its height, this was in June of 2020, it went up to $30 a share with $29.98. It quickly, I'm saying quickly, by August, it was already decreased over half of its spike. And now if we're looking at it, y'all, their shares are at $1.98 a share. So they went from pre-pandemic $2.37 a share, I'll call it post-pandemic. Post-pandemic, $1.98 a share, but at its height, $30 a share. So let me pull up I'll pull up Bavarian Nordic, and let's take a look at what their stock is looking like right now. Okay, so Bavarian Nordic, if we pull it out, they haven't reached its last high, which was at $19.25 a share. So these are affordable shares. It hasn't reached its peak yet. And that's something else that I was reading in one of the reports here, is that they were saying, even though this particular stock is seeing some spikes, they don't see that this is the cap of its growth. And primarily speaking, because the last cap that it had was at $19.25, is currently at $16.51 a share. And they're still being able to administer more. So right now they're administered 2 million dosages, but they have the ability to administer up to 30 million dosages per year. Now, monkeypox is spreading. 300 cases in Georgia, 396 cases in Illinois, but overall, that's such a small number. That is such a tiny number. And we know that with school coming back, we may start seeing some spikes. We know that with people going back in the workplace, we may start seeing some more spikes. So if there were any stocks here that I was really bullish on when it comes to investing into a monkeypox stock, I would definitely suggest Bavarian Nordic. And I would definitely suggest you looking into SIGA Technologies, because SIGA, they've been stockpiling whatever this oral medication is. They've been stockpiling it since 2013. And so it's seeing some spikes as well, given that monkeypox is out, because it doesn't say that it gets rid of the infection, but it stops the infection from spreading from its infection site. Okay. So those are my thoughts around it. Let me know. You guys know that I have my stock class on August the 13th at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Anyone who is registered will also get a recording of the class and any resources that I have available for you with that. But the stock class is for people who are saying they want to start investing, but you have no idea where to start. So let me pull it up real quick. And y'all, I'm only doing this for $39.99. I know that people are experiencing a lot of fluctuations with their money, and we're trying to, rub a dollar out of 15 cents right now. So I'm not out here to be capitalizing. I just really want to teach, and I want to make sure that you're invested in yourself to learn. So that's the only reason why I didn't do it for free. But what you're going to be learning about is you're going to learn about stock terminology, fundamental analysis of the market, technical analysis of the market. I'm going to walk over the brokers that I feel are trustworthy and the ones that I feel are not trustworthy and why. And I'm also going to go over with you how to properly enter into a buy, when to sell, how to sell, the taxes that are associated with stock investing. And then I'm going to take it a step further, because I know there's a lot of people on social media that just talk, but I'm going to give you a real world look into one of my personally managed stock portfolios. So this particular portfolio that I'm going to give you guys an insider's look into is one that I opened during the pandemic. So I want you to look at the gains, the losses. I want you to see exactly what you would see if you opened up your own portfolio, so that you can ask questions, you can get a clear understanding of the market. Okay, so I can't post the link in here. It doesn't allow us to do anything that's not a physical product. But if you message me and say you want to sign up, or if you just click in the link in my bio and sign up, you'll be able to do that. And I'm so happy to announce, y'all, I just announced this class 2 days ago, and it is halfway sold out. It's actually a little over halfway sold out already. So there's only 100 seats available in the class. So if you're interested, make sure you take your seat, because I will be posting content over the next few days around investing and around the class. So make sure that you do secure your seat, and you do not have to be a U.S. citizen in order to invest in the U.S. stock market. Okay, so make sure you grab your seat if you have any questions around that. If you're a new investor and you're just tired of the fluff and you don't want any of that MLM stuff associated with it, this is a class for you. This is going to be all value, no fluff. We're getting to the nitty gritty, and I'm going to make sure that you understand what you need to understand to open up your own portfolios. Okay, so let's see. Let me go ahead and go to some of the comments. Oh, hey, YouTube. Hey, LinkedIn. Hey, y'all. Okay, let me see. Hi. All right, awesome. So let me know if you guys have any questions. What are your thoughts around monkeypox and these vaccines? Of course, JJ, thank you for tuning in. I appreciate you. How can I sign up for the class? Okay, perfect. So let me get this link over to the people on YouTube and LinkedIn who want to register. There, that should work for you. Check the comments. It should be able to post as a link for you. And then can somebody write the ticker? Okay, so the tickers for these two companies, I'll put them in the chat for you. Give me a second. If my MacBook will act right. That's like one of the blessings, y'all. I'm not gonna lie, of having a. Yep, there you go. Okay, perfect. Of having a MacBook and an iPhone, because you can press copy from the computer and paste it to your phone. It's so neat. Okay, let me see. So those are the two tickers. I'll just pin them down at the bottom for you. And if you want to register for class, again, go to the link in the bio to register. Okay, you're welcome. Can't wait to see you in class. Okay, so let's go over. I'm just going to talk some more about stock investing while I'm on here with you guys, because I'm actually about to go see my big mama. I'm about to drive to the countryside and go see my big mama, take her some flowers and stuff. But let me pull up some things. I was looking at the Security and Exchange Commission's website, and they pretty much gave a rundown of what you should be looking at if you want to get into investing. And these are things that I couldn't agree with more, but I definitely feel like they could have gone further in depth. So these are 10 things that they say you should be doing if you want to get into stock investing. Okay. So it's called Financial Navigating in the Current Economy, 10 things to consider before you make investing decisions. Okay. So number one is draw a personal financial roadmap. So I talk about that all the time. I talk about making sure that before you step into investing, you have a budget, you're on a financial plan, you've got your ducks in a row so that you're not investing money that you need, because you know anytime that you go and you start investing, you're taking money with the potential that it will grow. The potential. It's never guaranteed. Anytime you put money in the market, it's a risk. And anytime you treat the market like the lottery, it's going to treat you like a gambler, right? So draw a personal financial roadmap. I definitely suggest that when you're starting with a budget, you start with your relationship with money. I see a lot of people go and they write out all their bills and they're like, yep, here's my budget. I got my bills. I got my gas money. All right. I know that as long as I can take care of these things, I'm good to go. And then what you're forgetting is your lifestyle. And it's usually your lifestyle that's causing you to go broke. It's usually your lifestyle that's taken away from your overflow, less the bills, right? So when you're creating this budget for yourself, please be sure to include the aspects of your life that you just are not willing to compromise on, and you know you're going to do it either which way. You might as well create a financial plan around it, okay? The other thing is, make sure that your relationship with money is intact. Okay. So I see a lot of people write out the numbers, but their relationship with money is so jacked up. I don't care if the budget looks like gold. You're not going to stick to it if your relationship with money is jacked up. If you don't have boundaries and self-control around yourself when it comes to money, you can write 11 different budgets, 10 different ways, and it's not going to matter. It's not going to help you. Okay, Kenyatta, she signed up for class. Awesome, awesome. So make sure that your relationship with money is together. And so that's what my book is about. So there's many of you recently who've been purchasing it. I cannot wait for you guys to read it. It's going to take you through your own personal relationship with money. You're going to start by asking yourself the hard questions around money, like where did my relationship with money start? Why am I operating with money the way that I am? What are my triggers around money? And when you identify what those triggers are, then you can begin to create healthy boundaries around those triggers so that when you get to investing, you're not using money that you need. You're using money that you've set aside that you know for sure that you can put into these markets. When you get a budget, you're sticking to it because you have been able to create boundaries not only around other people when it comes to your money, but around yourself when it comes to your money. And you've created a why deep enough that will keep you focused. Half of us don't care about numbers. Half of us care about the relationship that we have with money, but we just don't know what that is to be able to fix it. So that's what my book is about. All right. Number 2, evaluate your comfort zone in taking on a risk. So this is where we talk about having risk management and understanding what type of risk that you want to take on. So when I talk to you guys about low risk, high reward versus high risk, high reward, this shapes the type of investor that you're going to become. So low risk, high reward. This is what we're talking about: index funds, mutual funds, I bonds. High risk, high reward. This is what we're talking about: individually investing into stocks. We're talking about the foreign exchange market, cryptocurrency, options trading. Okay. So identifying the type of risk that you're willing to take is all about, number one, having that financial plan in order, and number two, checking your emotional intelligence in the market. So what I mean by that is, if you're somebody who's like, oh, is it going up? Oh, is it going up? Oh, it's going down. Oh, I'm losing money. Oh, is it going? And you have all of these what is it called? Palpitations, all these heart fluctuations around the market. You're sweating because you don't know which way it's going. And it's like, can you calm down? Because the market's going to do what the market's going to do. The only thing you can do is be prepared for it. Okay. So that's what we're talking about risk and emotional intelligence. Okay. You can mitigate emotional intelligence. You can manage it very, very well by creating a stop loss. Someone just commented that. You're absolutely right. But if you don't know how to do that, it's not going to matter. Right. So just understanding that emotions have no place in money. Okay. And consider an appropriate mix of investments. So if you look at your 401k, palpitations, thank you, Summer Strawberry. Okay. So if you have a 401k, your 401k is comprised of bonds and stocks. And the reason why they have bonds in there is because bonds have security in them, right? So they create some stability within your portfolio. So when you're having your investments, you want to say, make sure that you don't just are invested into stocks by themselves, or you're not just invested into bonds by themselves. It's good to be invested into stocks because they do allow for more growth when they are doing well, but it's also equally as good to be invested into bonds because bonds do offer that level of security. Okay. All right. Be careful if investing heavily in shares of employer stocks or in individual stock. We just talked about that. All right. One of the most important ways to lessen the risk of investing is to diversify your investments. It's common sense. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Okay. Create and maintain an emergency fund. Most people say that an emergency fund. Okay. While I was reading a comment, sorry. Most people say that the emergency fund should be at $1,000. If you agree that your emergency fund should be $1,000, can you drop a 100 in the chat if you think that your emergency fund should be a $100? I'm sorry, $1,000. Put a 100 in the chat. Just say, yes, I've been wanting to invest and learn the stock market, but I don't understand how it works. I'll definitely look into taking the class. Awesome, JJ. Okay. If you think that $1,000 is good for an emergency fund, put 100 in the chat. Psych motorbike. I got y'all. No, it's not. It's not. Most people's rent is not $1,000, y'all. If something happened to you, how much would $1,000 do for you? Just think about it. Maybe it'll help if your tire blew. That would help. If you might need to miss a couple of days at work, that would help. But what happens if a true emergency happens to you? Would you be able to afford to pay your mortgage with $1,000? Could you cover your rent with $1,000? Could you replace your car with $1,000 if something happened? Okay, so it's a good starter point, but it shouldn't be your goal. So what you need to do is, when you guys are going through your finances and you create this budget, you need a budget. Everybody needs a budget. You need a budget. You need a budget. Everybody needs a budget. Okay. When you're creating your budget, take inventory of what you're spending month over month, necessities and wants. I want you guys to start working on an emergency fund that hits at 3 months first and then gets to 6 months. I was really blessed in that I caught on to this before the pandemic hit, because when I lost my job as a banker, I had over a year's worth of salary put away. So I could take care of all of my bills. I didn't have to question or compromise anything when it came to my children. I was able to just do everything. And Honestly, because I'd never been fired before, I freaked out. Like when I lost my job, y'all, I freaked out. I knew what I had. I knew what I had put away, but I was freaking out because I had never lost my job before. But I feel blessed in that I was able to get my finances together before that happened. So I want y'all to do the same thing. There's such a space where you can just breathe and say, I'm gonna be okay when it happens or if it happens. And so we have a lot of uncertainties with the economy right now. There's a lot of big name companies that are talking about doing hiring freezes. There's a lot of companies talking about downsizing. And so while we may feel we have a secure job, none of us will really know what our job situation is looking like until our economy balances back out. And then on top of that, a lot of us have jobs that are going to start being replaced by machines come the next 5-10 years. And so if you're not preparing yourself for what could happen in the economy or what can happen with your particular role, then you're just going to leave yourself to the wind there. All right, let me go back to this. Okay, pay off high interest credit card debt. Super important. I know that there's two forms of debt repayment plan. You have snowball and you have avalanche, right? So I'm a big fan of getting a debt paid down initially. Just knock off the lowest one. That really boosts your confidence if you need a confidence boost in that, because some people just feel like I'm never going to get this debt paid off. Once you do that and you have your confidence built up, start knocking off that high interest stuff, because you're only going to be paying more money, and that's money you could have been putting into your savings account, money you could have been putting into an investment portfolio. So just make sure as soon as you can start knocking this stuff down, that's where you focus every extra dollar goes to. And then dollar cost averaging is a good way to just kind of manage your risk when it comes to investing. So you may say, okay, well, month over month, this is what I have to invest, and then go that way, opposed to saying, when I get my tax refund, I'm going to invest all this money, or if I get another stimulus check, I'm going to invest all this money, because that very well may be money that you need. Okay, take advantage of free money from your employer. So this is where we talk about maxing out your 401k plan. So whatever your company is matching, you want to get as close as you can to what they can match, because it's essentially free money. And then consider rebalancing your portfolio occasionally. So sometimes you need to go in there and just start doing maintenance on your portfolio, but you won't know how to do that if you don't know how to invest. So we'll cover that at a later date, because a lot of y'all are just new investors. All right. And avoid circumstances that can lead to fraud. Let me tell y'all, there has been so many accounts that have duplicated my Instagram account. They have built Telegrams, TikToks, Instagrams, WhatsApps, all of this, pretending to be me. And so I went down the rabbit hole with one of them. I actually created a whole like fake Telegram account, and I was like, hey, I think I said my name was Vivian or Darlene or something. And I let that fake profile of me, I went all the way down the rabbit hole with them. They said that I was a licensed broker. They said that they would be able to help me invest in portfolios, but they needed a picture of my Cash App, which is where I'll be sending the Bitcoin through in order to be able to invest with them and them set up my account. Then I was asking, I was like, well, can we get on the phone? I was like, I'm just so clueless. I just don't understand. Can we get on the phone? Could you walk me through this process? And they were like, oh, well, we can't walk you through the process because everything that we do, we're not allowed on the phones. What? I thought you were me. I thought you were me though. And I thought I was a licensed broker. So why can't you get on the phone with me? So I kept telling them I don't understand why they can't do this and such. So they gave me all these other excuses. And then finally I was like, look, I'm so sick of y'all trying to pretend like you're me, taking advantage of people. So be careful with this. I will never, ever ask you to send me Bitcoin, a picture of your Cash App, nothing. I will never do that. The only time I have ever done that is when I've been on the phone with someone and I was walking them through funding their own account, but they were doing it through Bitcoin through Cash App. But that was years ago. And I'm talking about I was personally on the phone with them and I was guiding them through them sharing their screen and helping them navigate that process. But if anybody reaches out to you and they're like, send me screenshots of your Cash App so I can help set up your portfolio and all this stuff, it's all fraud. If they can't get on the phone with you, it's fraud. And for some reason, all of them like to say, hey, dear, or would you kindly? That's like the language or the verbiage that they use. That's just fraud. So if anybody says that, it's just fraud. Just block them, report them, get rid of them, please. Okay. So I'll read this specifically from the SEC's website. Scam artists read the headlines too. Often they'll use a highly publicized news item to lure potential investors and make their opportunity sound more legitimate. The SEC recommends that you ask questions and check out the answers with an unbiased source before you invest. Always take your time and talk to trusted friends and family members before investing. Okay, so that's from the SEC directly. Yes, please just block and report them. You'll get them from so many different people who have been building their platforms on social media. And what I want you to check for is how their names are spelled. I've had a lot of people message me with screenshots and they'll be like, sis, is this a backup profile? What is this? Somebody messaged me. And I'm quick to hop on and say, it's not me. Please report them. Please block them. Okay, so y'all, that's gonna do it. Get registered for class. I saw I think about 7 of you registered since I was on this call, so that's great. I cannot wait for you guys to be in class. Make sure that you click the links, get registered. If you have any questions, feel free to message me via Instagram, or you can email me if you're watching from YouTube, LinkedIn, or Twitter. So that's gonna do it for me today. I gotta go and head over to my big mamas, but I wish y'all the best, and I'll see y'all later. Bye. Oh, I didn't hang up. Bye, guys.